Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Batwoman Season 3 Meet Your Maker. This was a very interesting episode. I have a slight rant here and there, but it's mostly some pretty interesting stuff that happened. This episode, like I said, was very much different than your typical Batwoman show or any type of Bat Family type show. The scenery was much different. They're in the woods, for crying out loud. That's so different. Like normally they're in Gotham City, like this city, you know what I'm saying? But the change of environment was very interesting. Also, what was very interesting was the fact that this was kind of like a horror movie-ish type episode. Cabin in the woods, the Evil Dead, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much, anytime you get a cabin in the woods and there's a horror movie element, some bad stuff is gonna happen. Some people are gonna die. In fact, 3 people die in this entire episode. So that was like really cool and really neat and everything. However, there are some things in this episode that are just kind of like the whole forced relationship thing with the whole Ryan and Sophie thing. Luke is still a weenie and everything. There's some interesting stuff with Jada and Diggle. Like, you're getting some serious vibes, you know what I'm saying? And then, of course, there are the 2 Poison Ivies and their accomplices and everything. So this is like very interesting. So this episode, you see these 2 fishermen, and it says catch and like throwback only and stuff. They don't want you to gut these fish, nothing, but these 2 men are gutting them. All of a sudden, you see these weeds coming out the lake, and it brings the men into the ocean, and it kills them. And out comes the OG Poison Ivy herself, Pamela Isley. I think to refer to both Poison Ivies, I'm just gonna say their first name. It's a whole lot easier than that. Or if I just refer to Mary, I'll just say Mary. And so Pamela is still very much looking like a corpse. Still has that gray skin and everything. When she gets out the water, she collapses, and in comes Montoya. And so apparently, the water did not revive her as she thought she would. And she needs her, like, more like of herself, you know what I'm saying? And herself is inside Mary. So it turns out that Montoya isn't like a crooked cop. She's still very much a good cop. It's just she's so in love with Pamela, she's willing to like bust her out. She is upset that Pamela killed those 2 men. And in Pamela's defense, she's all like, well, those men were basically like criminals in a way. They ignored what the sign said and killed these animals and stuff. So she's trying to justify her killing, but there's no true justification for it. Also, what's kind of odd is like Pamela Isley in the comics and in the cartoons and all this other stuff, she hates people. She hates mammals. She hates insects. The only thing she likes is plants. That's the number 1 thing. Harley Quinn, that's number 2, and money. That's all she likes. So the fact that she's all like concerned about those fish and everything was just kind of weird, because she don't like fish, because she don't like mammals or animals of any kind. So Montoya and Pamela are constantly going at it back and forth in this whole episode, talking about, oh, you haven't changed, you're still the same person you always was, and and all this other stuff. So they're in conflict and everything. So that's nice to see. However, it's once again those CW long-winded speeches and everything about mushy stuff, and it's just like, come on, man. Like, make it more intense than that. Like, enough of those long-winded speeches and stuff. So, Poison Ivy, she says, she needs to, like, be herself again. And so, being all in love with her, Montoya's like, I know a way you can, like, be your full self. AKA Mary. Because the rest of Poison Ivy essence is, of course, inside Mary. And so, like, this is what's very strange about this version of Poison Ivy. She seems almost magical in a way. Like, okay, there's at least two different versions of poison ivy in the comics. There is the human one that like has an immunity all toxins, and she looks human and she loves plants and she kills people and she creates like plant-based like monsters. Then you have the other one who's more greenish, and she does the same thing the other one does, but she's able to control plants with her mind. And also she is part plant herself. This version just seems magical almost. And so like she needs to contact Mary. Mary is very far away because she's with Alice and everything. So what happens? Um she kind of does this like um Jedi mind trick slash Vulcan mind meld type thing to contact Mary from a faraway distance. But in order to do it, she has to lay down, and oddly enough, Montoya has to put her hands on top of Pamela's head, and so she can able to contact Mary. I don't know how that works. That don't make no sense. Why does she need Montoya for it? But basically, she's able to communicate through like the planet. It's weird. This show kind of got a little weird in that aspect. So every time she contacts Mary, Mary is in excruciating pain, and something is luring her to a certain location. So Alice knows what's up. She doesn't want no part of the OG like poison ivy. It's almost to the point where Alice is almost afraid of Pamela Isley and stuff. And for good reason. She's able to control people just by looking into their eyes, and she can control plants. Like I'm saying, man, the whole eye control thing, that's just too magical Jedi tricky and stuff. And so like she wants to get as far out of Dodge as she can. And so, but she can't. So it's some nice bickering back and forth between her and Mary. That's really cute and fun to see. And so Mary hypnotizes her. Oh no, Mary wants to go like into. No, I think she does hypnotize her. And then they go to like the woods where the lake and stuff is at. And so like it's interesting because Alice is constantly changing in this season. She really loves Mary because Mary is her stepsister. But you remember in season one, Alice killed Mary's parents. It's caused Mary to hate her. The only reason why Mary likes her now is because she's brainwashed by the whole poison ivy stuff. Before, she didn't like Alice, but she felt bad for her when she started going mentally crazy in the head. I haven't saw much of that mental crazy stuff in a while, so I don't know what they're gonna do with that. But it's just weird because Alice is just kind of she's so old, she's overprotective of Mary, and kind of got to think of reasons why. Like her father is locked up behind bars, so she ain't gonna see him in a while, and also that's because of the whole Duggery Scott and Ruby Rose thing. So he ain't come back no time soon. She has no idea where Kate is because Kate just like split after season two. So since the writers don't want to bring her back and she's gonna never see them again, Bruce, nobody still knows where he's at. And nobody knows how close those two were when they was cousins growing up. And so she has no more family left. So Mary is really the only family she has left. And she's even kind of grown a little attached to like, the Bat family and stuff. A little, only a little. So that's kind of odd and interesting. See, it's just weird. Like she's progressing way too fast. It started happening in season two, and now it's happening more in season three. But people have to remember she's a mass murderer and stuff. And there's a scene with her that's very odd. So, cause like, okay, when Mary does get to like the forest and everything, she collapses because of the pain. She is woken up by this man who's out hunting with his little son. His son is recording everything with his phone. When Mary wakes up, she tells this man to get away from her, but then she sees his rifle. She gets scared and she uses her plant powers to like throw him halfway across like the forest. Now, here's the thing about Mary and her poison iviness. She has never killed nobody. She has come close. She has tortured and she has captured people to the brink of death but never killed nobody. This is her first kill. And so she doesn't have time to like sulk about it because she's being drawn to poison ivy, Pamela Isley. Now, what's interesting about the whole Alice thing, when Alice is looking for her in the woods, she sees the phone. She listens to the recording and she's like, oh no, Mary, what did you do? And then she sees the body, the dead body of the man hung in the tree with a huge like branch going through his chest. And Alice is actually upset. I'm thinking to myself, really? Because you murdered people left and right. Why are you upset? She's upset because Mary has never murdered nobody, and now this is her first time, and she feels sorry for Mary. It's a very strange take coming from her. That would be like if the Joker was to feel this way about somebody. Like, you see how that doesn't like work? It just seems too weird. And since Alice is the original version of the Joker in this show, it just doesn't feel right for some reason. Now, I haven't mentioned the Bat family yet. So, early in this episode, Ryan comes back and she's giving Sophie the cold shoulder. She's pissed because of the whole poison ivy thing. Sophie's all upset about this, and then at some point we see Sophie training Luke how to fight because Luke is still a weenie and everything. So then he comes up with this type of like thing that can immobilize Mary. It won't kill her, but it will stop her. So they go on their little road trip to the forest. Why? Because they saw that two fishermen was murdered near the lake near there. They know it's not Mary because she's never killed, so it has to be the OG one. So they're going to look for them. And so they're not really looking for Mary. They're just going to get the OG poison ivy. So this is where the horror movie more stuff comes into play. And I love the way it happened. Now, it's revealed in this episode that this version of Poison Ivy, Pamela, has the ability to hear and like through all the trees, plants, anything on vegetation. And so you gotta stop and think about this. This Pamela Isley is too powerful. If she's this powerful, that way she can transfer her essence into her plants, not be able to die, be able to control all plants, be able to hear through all plants like their microphones. How in the world did Batman ever stop her? Like, seriously, like, this is the one thing about season 3 that I'm not liking, is that when we get to find out about Batman's rogue gallery, they're too powerful. Mad Hatter has the ability to control anybody with a single thought, and even from a faraway distance. How is Batman able to stop these people? They made them too powerful. And then when they are getting taken down, it's like, well, heck, he should be able to take down the alien, no problem. You know what I'm saying? And so as they're driving, the car gets attacked by all these huge vines. They manage to get out the car, and the car gets sucked into like the bushes of the woods. It's very cool, and the visual on that was great. This causes Luke to be, he freezes up. So he knows now, crap, I'm a weenie and everything. But he's been a weenie since season 1. And so like Ryan had like one of the most realistic like things ever. She was just like, no way, man, we're done, man, like we're out of here, man, we can't take her, man. like game over, man. Like she's all like, there's no way we're gonna be able to stop her and stuff. And so here comes the vines again. They take a run in into like a cabin they find, and they take shelter there. And so Sophie makes a reference, something about, you know, what happens to black people when they go into the woods. In the horror movie, they never come back out. I've never seen too many horror movies where a black person goes into the woods and never makes it out. I haven't seen Cabin in the Woods, but, you know, I've seen, like, The Evil Dead, and, of course, there was no black people in that movie. Huh. So, like... It was like, I've never seen that, so I don't understand where that reference came from. Now, I've heard of the horror movie reference where, you know, black people don't survive long in horror movies, but I've never heard the whole phrase of them going into the woods and never coming out. So they have to find a way. They're gonna have to, like, you know, stop OG Pam, or OG Poison Ivy, or Pam, whatever. And so she took their rifle. They had a tranquilizer dart in there. And so, like, they only have a few supplies in the cabin that they was able to find, like salt and something else. And they need to know if Luke can like make something, out of that. Well, being him, he is able to make something. He makes, I forget what exactly he makes, but basically when it's injected into the plants, they die. It's kind of like a fertilizer almost. I'm still not sure what the world he made with the little supplies that he had, but hey, whatever. It's a comic book, so nothing's realistic. You know what I'm saying? So there's some long-winded, mushy speeches between Ryan and Sophie about how she, like, this and that, their feelings. They have to talk about their feelings and everything. I get so tired when these Arrowverse shows talk about their feelings and everything, because they last for at least a good minute and a half or 2 to 3 minutes of them talking about their feelings, and sometimes longer than that. Actually, let me skip them and let me go to Diggle and stuff. I forgot he's even in this episode. So, Diggle, he knows Jada. Chances are they probably smushed back in the day when he was her security guard and person and stuff. So she wants to rehire him again as the security guard. He says no. She's flirting mad crazy with him. He shuts her down by saying, I'm married. I like that part. But she's still doing some major flirting. I like Robin Givens, but in this episode, her acting was kind of off. It was weird. Like she was trying new things and it just wasn't working for me. Now this show is starting to give this weird vibe that Diggle might just be Ryan's father. Like it's giving that strange vibe that he might be, but I probably doubt it. You know what I'm saying? Because if so, he doesn't even know that that's his kid and stuff. So they're trying to fix Marcus, Joker 2.0, which I'm not even gonna call him Joker 2.0 no more, only because on Wikipedia it has Mary listed as Poison Ivy 2.0, it has Mad Hatter 2.0 and Killer Croc 2.0, but when it comes to him, it just has Marcus. So they haven't called him Joker 2.0 yet. So you know. So he's still comatose and everything, and they're trying to find a way to fix him. So they break into the police station where Montoya's office is. I guess there must be no police there at night. Like it's a police station and there's nobody there. There's no guard. Like what kind of Gotham City is this? And so like they break into the office and he finds some alcohol and they're trying to look for the joy buzzer and everything. Or trying to find, well, they think that if they had the joy buzzer and re-zap Marcus, he might snap on out of his craziness and stuff. I still don't know how the Joker did what he did to him with just a joy buzzer and everything. I guess that torture must have really got to him or something. But then while looking around, they find the joy buzzer and everything. And so, like, I'm still getting that vibe that he might be Ryan's dad. You know what I'm saying? Now, we do see a very nice, touching scene with Ryan talking to her mother at the grave site. Not her biological, but her adopted one. And, that was a nice touch. I didn't care if that was a long-winded speech, only because that had more meaning to it. You know what I'm saying? Now, back to long-winded speeches about love and mushy stuff. Montoya and Pamela, that long-winded speech is getting on my nerves, man. And so, like, we also still find out that Montoya does not want the Bat family hurt. Poison Ivy fakes it and be like, oh, I'm not gonna hurt them. But then she hypnotizes Montoya with that eye control thing of hers, right? And she wants Mary, but she wants to kill the Bat family. Cause see, Montoya told her, look, Ryan is not Batman. She's not gonna put you in the ground and everything, and she's not gonna kill you. But Pamela doesn't believe it, so she feels like she has to get rid of the Bat family so she can start taking care of what's important to her, getting her essence back and being with Renee. So it's back to cabin in the woods stuff again. Sophie is now attacked. The vines are going through like the chimney part fireplace and like trying to drag her up there. I'm like, yeah, show that'll be cool. Everything. Like make it all horror movie-ish. But no, they don't do that. Luke uses his special magic juice stuff that he created out of salt and something else to make some kind of like fertilizer crap. And so he shrivels up the vines and stuff. And so he doesn't have no more salt. Ooh. So now they're like, all right, well, there's more salt in the truck. And they're all like, what, the truck that what's her face took and everything in the woods? She's all like, look, I'll go. So she suits up and she goes. Sophie covers her with a rifle. And so like she makes her way to like the truck. But I like this part. Like her hands aren't long enough to reach whatever it is she's trying to grab. And Sophie makes fun of her. And she's like, I can hear y'all on the intercom system. And stuff. I gotta say, the bickering between Batwoman and Luke since Ryan took over, it's non-existent. It used to be a lot when Ruby was there. Like Kate and Luke would like bicker back and forth. But now it's just Sophie and Ryan always doing it. So she sees the ice salt, but she sees a little boy and she tells him, shh, be quiet, because the trees can hear us and stuff. He screams, Batwoman, help! So, of course, the plants now know where they're at and they start attacking. And so Luke gets the boy out of danger. And strangely enough, Batwoman tells Sophie, shoot the car and make it explode. And Sophie's like, what? See, the reason why, because they need to destroy the branches that are trying to kill Ryan right now. Instead of her getting the salt and giving it to Luke, see, she should have just, when Luke should have grabbed the salt and the boy and take off, but it takes a while to make that compound, so blowing up the truck was probably the best solution. And somehow Ryan survived the explosion, and she was in the back of the truck. I guess that bat suit really is strong enough to be cut with kryptonite. So all the salt is gone, the ice salt. They can't make their special potion stuff. The boy is in the cabin with Luke and everything. Sophie and Ryan are like just going back and forth, back and forth. And then Sophie just plants a smooch on her lips that shuts Ryan up. This whole forced thing between Sophie and Ryan is so forced. It may, you know who Sophie is now? Sophie is the Caitlin Snow of this show. Remember when Caitlin Snow first started off and she had all those guy problems and stuff? Every guy she dated either ended up dead or turned out to be evil or something like that. And she just couldn't find the right person. That is now how Sophie has become. First, there's the whole thing with her and Kate, then there's the thing between her and her ex-fiance who was a guy, then there's the whole now her and Renee thing, and the whole now her with Ryan thing. They're just hooking her up with every person that's literally on the show except for like Luke. So finally, the moment has happened. Both Poison Ivies have met face to face, and Mary is so thrilled because she feels like somebody understands her. Woe is her and everything. And so, of course, Pamela, she's happy to see her. So basically, now what it's going to be is Pamela is going to be the OG boss, Poison Ivy, and Mary's going to be like her little minion and everything. And so this is what's kind of strange. Remember when I said that Pamela hypnotized Montoya? It turns out it did not work. Why? It's revealed that Montoya many years ago feared that Pamela would do that to her. So she came up with a chemical solution where she took a drop every day. So whenever she meets Pamela again, that'll never happen. And of course it works. Here's my problem with that. One, if she knew this crap, why didn't she give it to the Bat family so that they wouldn't be hypnotized by Poison Ivy or Mary? Two, since when did Renee Montoya become a chemist? Like seriously, like I can understand if Batman do the whole chemistry thing and came up with that stuff, but no, she said she came up with it. So it's just kind of like, nah, man, that's just too much. I get it. They want to show this whole female empowerment stuff like that, and that's always great. But guys, stop making your men into weenies, and all the men got made into weenies in this episode. All these men kept getting killed by both the Poison Ivies. Diggle, when they were trying to break into the office with the hairpin, he couldn't do it, but Jada was the one who did it. And Jada is the one who found the joy buzzer, and all he found was alcohol. Luke is a weenie. That's all he is. And stuff. And so, like, yeah, man, like, I don't get that. So if she had that crap the whole time, why she didn't give it to everybody else? But it pretty much, after that, we get this interesting scene with, I don't let's get back into this whole poison ivy magic thing. So Mary, like I said before, meets face to face with the real poison ivy, and she's getting ready to give her essence back to her. This is what's so strange. She holds her by the face, and before she even kisses her on the forehead, all this green spory stuff comes out of Mary and goes into poison ivy, and then she kisses her on the forehead. What the world was that about? I don't understand any part of that. It's almost like she's magical, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so one would think if all of the essence is out of Mary and going inside Poison Ivy, then why is Mary still bad in the next episode? So is she gonna stay this way now forever and ever? Like, I don't know. It is making her character more interesting, but I'm getting tired of the whole woe is me. Also, this whole Poison Ivy thing. This story arc is gonna have to end soon. It's taking up too much time. This season started off very interestingly when they started bringing in 2.0 versions of Batman's Rogue Gallery. Then once they went to the whole Poison Ivy thing, it stayed there for a very long time. They still gotta do Joker 2.0. I'm like, no, I don't want to see the rest of the last couple of episodes be about that. Bring in more Rogue people, you know? That what made this season like so interesting and stuff. Diggle and Luke. So he's all like, you know, hey, I got this box and blah, blah, it's special, blah, blah. I think it's the box that fell down that had like the green light glow, his Green Lantern ring inside. And so they're still trying to do that crap. Honestly, I don't want to see him be a Green Lantern. Because why? Because they're gonna make him their version of John Stewart. I want John Stewart to be John Stewart. And I don't want John Stewart to be like somebody else with a fake name. I think they revealed that part of his name is John something or Stewart something. And it's just like, no, man, just make John Stewart, and make him his own person. And if you want to make Diggle into a Green Lantern, just make him into like his regular one. Because I think his name is John Diggle. I think originally his last name was like Stewart or something like that. And then there was that crossover where the Flash is all like, John, where's your ring? And I'm just like, I don't want to see him be Green Lantern. I just want an actual John Stewart. You know what I'm saying? And of course, now he's supposed to be getting his own show where he's training a bunch of young heroes. What the world is the CW doing? First Naomi, now this. And so Luke keeps talking about how he's not ready. And that's why his dad never gave him the suit, because he's not ready. Here's my problem with Luke, other than him just being a weenie. I don't understand how in that Mr. Freeze episode, he was able to beat up the head mercenary lady because she's very skilled at fighting and he's not. But now all of a sudden it's shown that he can't fight. See, here's my thing with him. Nightwing in the comics was originally this other black man. Then they got rid of him and made Luke. I don't know if that version of Luke was just a smart Luke or a military Luke, but in Batman Bad Blood, where Luke Fox finally shows up in animation form, they made that version into an ex-military soldier, so he knew how to fight. This one on the TV show is clearly the book smart one, so I get he doesn't know how to fight. But if that's so, then constantly show him being trained, but not show him in one episode whooping on people. That makes absolutely no sense. The suit is not the Matrix. He is not learning Kung Fu. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's an inconsistency with that. And he's always getting punked out. And he's just the weenie and everything. And I'm okay with him being a nerdy weenie, but at one point in time, just make him manly at times, you know? So all in all, I do think this was a very interesting episode. And it's kind of like, you know, I appreciate them going the horror movie route, and it did pay off in certain aspects. In that Professor Pig episode, it kind of didn't. He's not slashing and gashing and killing folks, you know what I'm saying? And chasing them all around with his little butcher knife and stuff. But this one had a nice horror movie element, and it's a good thing they went with the Poison Ivy. They could have went with Killer Croc. That could have worked too. I would appreciate more with him, because at least he would have been able to chew and eat people, but you know how the CW is. I'll get into that a little bit later when I go to the Poison Ivy suits, because there's a little modesty going on there. And so like, With Pamela Isley, Poison Ivy, she's always been good with horror movie type stuff. In Batman the animated series, she will create like, plant monsters that will like try to like hurt people, or people that will be plants. They were plants, but they look like people. Now, all kind of cool stuff, you know what I'm saying? So they can always go that route with her. Now, one thing that's interesting about this version of Poison Ivy, both of them, it's like, okay, Poison Ivy is pretty basic. These are the elements of her. She loves plants. She hates animals. She's an eco-terrorist. She is sarcastically blunt and rude to people. She's mean and rough around the edges. That way she'll kill a person straight up. And she oozes sex appeal and everything. Every version you've ever seen in animation or movies or video games, she has all those elements. Ironically, in this show, they split her in half. The Pamela version is more of the mean, aggressive, I'll kill you person, and wants like to be with her true love type thing. Whereas the Mary version is more the one who has fun, is sarcastic, blunt, and also oozes the sex appeal. It's kind of interesting how they split those two up. So I'm wondering, when Pamela Isley gets the rest of her essence back, is Bridget Regan finally gonna do like the whole sexy, like, Pamela Isley that I know and love and stuff? Because right now she's just playing the mean, aggressive, I'll kill you route and everything, whereas Mary's just like living it up. Now, speaking of those two, their outfits are very interesting. Both women wear versions of Poison Ivy outfits that are very similar to that of costume. That Pamela is more comic book accurate to some of the more recent video games, animation, live action movies, comics. Whereas Mary's is more of like, it's a blend of old school Pamela Isley lingerie, but more leathery looking CW type stuff, And, I'm actually starting to like Mary's outfit a little bit more, but it's just, Pamela's is clearly the best. It's better looking material, it's not as shiny, it's not brightly colored, so it doesn't like hurt your eyes and stuff. And it's more of what you would see in the modern day era. Now, I still do like Mary's outfit, the lingerie type, but I wish both outfits had more of a plant motif to it, which they really don't. There's like stuff embedded in there, like there are little green leaves, and Pamela's like red jacket and stuff, and of course there's the pants and stuff, but you don't see much of it unless you get up close and personal, and some of the episodes will zoom in. Now, this is what's strange about Mary's outfit. Like, remember how I say Pamela, Poison Ivy always like oozes out sex appeal? That is clearly in Mary's outfit, but you can't tell because they keep putting like a trench coat on her or a robe. It has to be a modest thing. Because you know how like a lot of superhero females and villains in the comic books, their outfits always look like lingerie or like a bikini or like a unitard or like something around that matter. You know what I'm saying? And so like because a lot of females are complaining that why do the men get to cover up, but the women have to be dressed out in bikinis fighting crime and stuff, or showing their cleavage and all this other stuff. And so I get that. I get why they cover her up. But why give her that sexy outfit if she's just going to cover it up with a big long trench coat? You know what I'm saying? Also, they probably give her the trench coat because it's Canada, it's cold, and I bet she is freezing her butt off. If the Supergirl lady froze her butt off in that skirt, she's freezing her butt off, and basically like some like booty shorts and like a bra like vest type thing. Because I've been wondering, like, was it more like a modest thing for the CW, or was it the actress? It's not the actress. I'll tell you that right here, right now. She is constantly posting pictures of herself in Poison Ivy outfit. She's still wearing the coats and the trench coats and all this other stuff and the robes, but she's opening up more. You see a lot of skin. So she ain't modest about nothing. She is showing off her sexiness. So it must be like a TV mandate not to show that much flesh and everything. So if that was really gonna be the case, they should just gave her an outfit that was more similar to Bridget's and stuff. But like I said before, both outfits are nice. It's just Mary reminds me of something more Batman the animated series with that version of Poison Ivy with the bright green colors and stuff. I just wish there was more like of a plant like motif. Now when it comes to Bridget is basically just like a regular outfit made of thin leather and material, but it still has that plant looking vibe to it. I wish the colors was slightly brighter, like a brighter red, or a darker green. I still wish there was more plant-like stuff on there. I can't wait until Pamela gets her essence back because I want her to do her hair. Stop looking like a corpse. Like that whole corpse thing just kind of getting on my nerve. But when it comes to who looks more like Poison Ivy, it's really a toss-up. Like if you was to look at something more like modern day Poison Ivy from comics, then you'd probably say Bridget, um, the Pamela one. But if you were to go like say who looks more like a traditional Poison Ivy, that's got to be Mary. She does her hair in a really nice, cool kind of way. Her outfit's more greener, more lingerie and everything. She's showing like a lot of leg when they let her show it and stuff. Her midsection, and it's just like she looks more like Poison Ivy than the actual Poison Ivy and stuff. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.